Okay, hello Warrior families. This is again Dr. Todd Schuetz with your Tuesday update. Last week we had some students on that gave you some perspective on what it's like for them being students during this time of distance learning. Today we've got some teachers with us that can give you some perspective as far as they're concerned. Now Smithville is full of rock star teachers. We know that. You throw a rock, you're going to hit a rock star teacher. So I've invited some of those teachers here today. And again, it wasn't hard to gather some. I just asked a few, and they're like, sure, we'll be glad to be a part of that, Dr. Schuetz. And so we're going to pick their brains a little bit about what this is like for them as a teacher, and then ask them how they go about, structuring this distance learning and after they've transitioned. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about advice they might give to families that are struggling. I was reading an article today in the New York Times about a young family, a husband and a wife, both working from home with elementary age kids. And the article describes them basically being at their breaking point. That they just could not keep up with this anymore. And so we feel for those families out there right now, and we want you to reach out for help. Reach out to your child's teacher, your child's principal, a friend that may be seem to be doing a little bit better in their household. Whatever we can do, because we do have several weeks of this left. We want to make the best of it and do the best we can and help everyone be successful. So that's your introduction. I'm going to introduce our teachers. First of all, Ashley Homan teaches 5th grade, and she has a little one at home. Cindy Meeks teaches reading at the middle school, and Cheryl Nichols teaches business and, among other things, at the high school. So we've got middle school, elementary school, and high school all represented here. So ladies, you went from teaching face-to-face to totally online overnight. If I remember correctly, the announcement was made that we had a half of a day of professional development before spring break, which probably, I'm guessing, gave you an idea to design what work needed to be done. And then if I know you three, you spent a lot of time over spring break getting ready for that next Monday. And so Monday started and bam, we were all online. So I keep using the expression overnight, but that's what it seemed like. So how did you do that? How did you pull that off so well? Ashley, let's start with you.
Well, first, hi, everyone. What I did is pretty much exactly what you just said, is I chose to take my spring break and start creating assignments and lessons. And I really thought about what was truly doable for parents and students at home. Things started shutting down in Kansas City anyways. It wasn't like I could go anywhere fun. So I chose to just be productive. The other thing I did is I chose to find the positive. It's really easy in these times to focus on the negative, and there's definitely lots of hard things going on. I've had my days of having negative thoughts, but those can be overwhelming and take over if you focus on that. So I tried to remember that I was blessed to have a job, because I know there are lots of people that are unemployed right now. And I know there are lots of people that are working out in this around the virus. And so just the fact that I can still have a job and take care of my family, I looked at it as a positive and some relief. So that's what I did.
Well, great attitude, Ashley. How about you, Cheryl?
Well, I did some of the same things. When I decided that we were going to transition, as you might guess, I was fairly electronic, indoctrinated into my classes and savvy with that. So I really had to look toward the virtual learning guidelines that kept being given, that less is more, and all the collaborative projects would be no more. So how could I go about being such a verbal, interactive type teacher to one in which technology was still used, which my students were really comfortable with, but them being able to brainstorm, enhance their ideas, get other views without any classmates there. So I, of, of course, explored video calls, and we have had some very entertaining video calls in which students have brainstormed. We've had guest speaker panels. We've even done a virtual scavenger hunt where the students stayed in their homes and went about collecting international business products, as an example. We've played Jeopardy and learned about knowledge. I've had students give presentations on Flipgrid, and then students have been praising each other on Flipgrids. And I'm probably the most proud of my superstar toilet paper squares and teaching students that they have a mailbox at the end of their driveway.
So yeah, less is more is an expression I think that serves us well during these times. You know, really, as we've talked in the Smithville School District, we want kids to stay cognitively engaged, right? If we can move forward in some things, certainly that's advantageous. But really, we want kids just to stay engaged in school and keep their brains moving in a positive direction. Would you three ladies agree with that? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right, Cindy, how about you?
I think Smithville might have been ahead of the curve, if that's a possibility. I think it's important to know that we were told the week of spring break. I know my principal said, plan like you're not going to come back and you're going to start teaching online. And that was a real wake-up call for me personally, because if you know me very well, I'm not real techie, so I'm kind of jealous of my panel friends here that are real techie. So I had to get really resourceful really quickly. And with teaching small groups of reading, with that heads up, I was able to send a lot of resources home with my kids that last day of school before spring break. We were fortunate enough to have 20 minutes with each one of our classes. So I could tell the kids, this is how I'm going to try to communicate to you if this happens, and this is what we're going to do. And I sent resources home with all my kids. So we haven't really missed a step. The one thing that I will note that's a little different, I had a parent reach out to me week of spring break, and I work with some elementary kids, and that parent was like, Mrs. Meeks, I just wanted to know if you thought about how you're going to continue teaching my child. And really, I hadn't thought about the elementary kids, the little group I see before school at all. And I'm thinking, I hadn't really thought about doing it. And she goes, I know you can, you're creative, so we'll wait and see what you can come up with. Well, I had to get busy learning some tech stuff. And so I did that first week. I did lots of trial and error with my kids, but I'm happy to report those Maple kids have not missed 1 hour of tutoring since we started this. And it's really encouraging because the parents sat there with them most of the time, and the parents are learning just as much as the kids. And it has really connected us in a way that I'm excited to have done that.
Yeah, it brings back why you do what you do, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. So, if what you've not already mentioned, I mean, how do you go about organizing this remote learning? Cheryl, sounds like you were already kind of down that path, and Cindy had a learning curve to achieve. Knowing Ashley and her instruction, she probably had some things going here already, but tell us a little bit about organizing that instruction. Cheryl, let's start with you.
Absolutely. So routine. Making sure that whatever base they understood for either the third quarter or for the year, depending on the class structure, that remained. They understood Google Classroom. They understood go to Google Slides, follow an agenda, use Google Forms, use prompts, anything that I could keep in our routine and in our structure that we had already built a nice pattern for was almost mandatory as far as one of my top objectives. So routines for sure.
Okay, thank you, Cheryl. And let's hop up to you, Cindy.
I concur with Cheryl. Routine schedule. I had to build myself a schedule because I work better with a schedule. My husband says I don't do anything unless it's on a bell schedule. So, I had to keep that schedule for me. But I started this online teaching with 2 goals in mind, and I have stuck to those 2 goals. My first goal was to reinforce, and my second goal was to connect. And I want to connect with my kids. I see them every day, and I want to reinforce the skills that we have already learned. These kids will be fine come fall, as long as, we had the biggest core of our year already. So we just need to reinforce, and those kids are going to be great. And so, but I had to organize myself to get my kids organized, and I agree, routine.
Okay, very good. Ashley?
Really the same thing that they said. So with the making connections, I do a terrific Tuesday where I create like a meme, and it's either inspirational to make them feel good or it's funny to make them laugh. And they have to sign their name on it and turn it in. And so it's just a way to kind of check in, but also kind of get the feels going and let them know that whatever I'm creating on this Google drawing, it makes me think of them. And then along with what they were saying with Google Classroom and stuff, my first couple of weeks, my lessons were all about basically using all of those tools. So learning how to attach things on Google Classroom, learning how to respond to a thread, learning how to open up a Google Doc and then putting it back onto Google Classroom, turning it in. There's a turn in button, and if you don't push that, it won't actually turning in. So just those little things that make everything kind of stay organized to where it's easier for me and easier for students and parents to truly know if something has been accomplished. I think that's been a game changer. And if you know me, I'm like super type A. So I also have a little whiteboard that's on my own refrigerator, and it's got my assignments on it, the purpose of the assignment, when the due date is. And so that's how I keep myself organized, is I have my own little checklist that is like staring at me right now as I speak. And I just make sure that I'm kind of on the ball with that too.
Okay. You probably have specific times of the day to blow your nose, right?
Yes, basically.
So knowing that this has rocked your world and some more than others, how do you see this when we get back to face-to-face instruction? Do you see yourselves continuing to do some things differently? Ashley?
Yes, definitely. Luckily in 5th grade, that's when we really start using Google Classroom and technology a little bit heavier. All of the teachers are incorporating that on a weekly basis, some of us on a daily basis. And so I think that also made the transition easier. But I think just knowing that anything can happen and just being able to teach in any way, shape, or form is just really vital for our profession and for the people we work with, which is our students.
Okay, thank you. Cindy, how about you?
I kind of in a different situation because I work with small groups. And so when you have a struggling reader, and that's who I work with, there's nothing better than a live human to help with that. You have to remember, when kids have reading difficulties, most of the times it's a phonetic problem. And what that means, or a phonemic, a phonemic problem, and that means sound. So the one thing that I really stress with the computer is the lag that we have when you're working with a kid on sounds for reading and they don't hear that well. It's a problem. So I'm hoping to get back to my normal traditional style of teaching for those kids who struggle. But I am proud of my kids for being flexible enough to do it. We are still doing it. And I'm proud of the teachers, because I'm not a traditional tech teacher. So it has, I think, grown. I have some new skills that I can add to my plate when I get back to school.
Okay, very good. Cheryl?
Well, I've taken the opportunity to reread the book, Never Work Harder Than Your Students. And I think I'm really finding how much I love teaching and maybe learning, and I'm doing too much. and I'm learning that by teaching virtually. And it's been, I think, healthy for both the student and myself. I have also really enjoyed getting to know students more personally. So I really have tried to apply concepts of the students in classes of 30 that are getting lost during between the bells, that I'm now able to actually reach and have a very personal conversation with and really individually help them develop, and how I can implement that in an in-school environment.
Okay. Have you found that some students are actually more successful with this model? Cheryl?
Yes. I actually have found there are superstars in the classroom that are superstars outside of the classroom. And those superstars have like doubled their productivity though. It has been absolutely amazing to me to see them say, I'm really good at math and I got that done in 30 minutes. And I'm going to come back and help you, Mrs. Nichols, with this project that you're working on. And they'll spend 2 hours with me doing something that's absolutely unbelievable. We have students running marathons in the virtual Garmin marathon run and picking up trash and all the trails in around the lake. And I have students who have sewn all kinds of masks and they send them to the retirement center where my mom is. And that has just been amazing. And then there's this group of students who were just kind of in the middle of the pack, I think I'll say. And I am almost in disbelief on what an awesome superstar they are. And they're coming to me from their basements and they've got their headsets on and they are like rocking speeches. Like I never, unfortunately, had the opportunity to see that part of the student. And it is unbelievable. I've had some written opinions that were not persuaded by the 30 students during class discussion that I don't think they would have ever shared them had we not gone through this experience together. And so it has been absolutely touching and amazing to watch some of these students.
So you mentioned two groups, those that were already doing well and them taking things farther. And then you mentioned a group in the middle and them being successful. What about kids that are struggling in this model? Surely all three of you have students that just aren't transitioning very well to this. And again, part of the one of the objectives of this conversation is to provide some some insight to parents who may have kids like that themselves, that they see struggling and getting engaged in this format and finding success. Who would like to start on that one? Go ahead.
Okay, I can start. So first, I just want to say, as someone that is working while homeschooling my own child who is a kindergartner, I just want to say that parents are doing a super nice job, and I hope that you're giving yourself grace and you know how awesome you are. I know how hard it is too. There are days I want to pull my own hair out. There are days that are easier than others. So just know that you're doing great, and I hope that you're resting your head at night knowing that. As for kids that are struggling with this, I think you have to just know your own child, and it kind of makes me think of teachers when we're in the classroom and how we do different things for different kids, because everybody needs different things and succeeds in different ways. So for example, with my own kid, he could do math and reading all day long without me trying to force him to, with a smile on his face, and it's going to turn out amazing. But the moment you get him to write, he becomes a monkey. It's like a whole different experience. And so I just have to have a different expectation for when he is doing writing than for when he is doing math and reading. And so I learned that fairly quickly. The first week was rough. And then after that, I said, nope, I'm going to do this differently. We're going to learn every day. Monday through Thursday, and we're going to do all subjects we're supposed to, but I'm going to have a different expectation for writing. So when we do writing, it's shorter. There's a lot of encouragement and a lot of praise. I'm there with him. It's not, he can handle this by himself. He can just sit at the other table and work. I really have to be there to keep him going. His stamina is lower with writing. And then afterwards, I let him pick whatever activity or fun thing he wants to do. And I really make it a big deal and let him know that I'm proud of him. And so I think it's just knowing your child and then tweaking your day to make that work for that kid, because every kid is different. Even if you have 3 kids at home, all 3 of those kids are probably different. And so I think it's just really making sure that you're matching what your kid needs.
So you truly are having the opportunity to personalize his learning at home. And everyone has the benefits of a teaching degree, right, and working with their kids at home. But personalized learning is something we would all like to achieve in the classroom. It's very, very difficult when you have, 20, 25 students, but knowing they all have different idiosyncrasies or ways that they go about wanting to do things. I remember when I was in the classroom, I always had a student that wanted to stand up. He just wanted to stand up while he worked. And the first time I let him do it, the rest of the class, looked at me like, "You gonna let him do that?" Well, yeah, he works better standing up. He's not hurting anybody. Just let him work. So sounds like you're able to do that at home and would encourage parents to consider similar strategies.
Yes.
Thank you, Ashley. Cynthia, looks like you're getting ready to say something.
Yeah, I think we need to remember that online learning demands really strong readers sometimes. And for some of my kids that struggle, it is not because they don't want to do the work. It's just they're not understanding exactly the written directions. We're verbal people. We're very verbal. And when you do online, and if you're not directly talking to them and you type a lot of your instructions, like in Google Classroom, those kids are going to need some extra time. And I think time is an essence in that we need to extend time for them. Also maybe shorten some of their lessons. And I talked to one of my parents today, and she said, "I just have to do it in small chunks." And that's great. That's a great way to do it. Just if the lesson's going to take an hour and it, break it down and say, "Let's work for 10 minutes on this.
Yeah.
Let's work for 15. I think we need to have, like Ashley said, grace for the teachers and grace for the parents and the students. We're all in this. This is new territory for us all. So we're kind of learning as we go. And I keep telling my kids, I don't know who's teaching the most lessons. You're teaching me lessons about you, or I'm teaching you lessons, because, life is full of lessons, and a lot of them, most of them are learned at home, right? And so we're just blessed to be able to get to the students and help in which way we can. But parents, you've always been the big teacher.
Absolutely. All right. Ladies, anything else to add for parents out there that might be looking for some pearls of wisdom or encouragement?
I might add one thing. I think it's really important to have a schedule with your child, but I think another thing that's important for my kids is to have a certain workspace. I think it's the accountability. This is your school workspace, and this is where we go. Don't put it in their favorite place in the house. Separate that so they know this is their work and this is their play. And do both with your kids. Small chunks, good schedule, and a good workspace.
And if your house is anything like mine, hopefully a workspace that's a little different than your workspace.
Yeah.
Because my 16-year-old likes to plop down right next to me, and I kind of like it, truth be told. I get to spend a little time with him, and I get to know what's going on with his schooling. But as I was telling Cheryl before we started, I've had the opportunity to hear several class meetings from her business classes, due to Noah being seated right next to me. So, ladies, I really, really appreciate your time very, very much. I'm sure that our families will find this beneficial. You are all three rock stars in my heart, as far as I'm concerned. I'm glad you're a part of this warrior family. And again, I'm glad you took this time with us. So at this time, I will let you go. If you ladies want to log off, I'm going to continue with my update to the parents.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Schuetz.
Bye. So there you go. Some words from teachers as to the online efforts and how that goes from their perspective. Some tips from those teachers. I think there's some really good ideas in there that hopefully will help many of you. And I stress, if you're not getting the help you need to be successful with your child at home, please reach out to us and to the teacher, to the principal, to whomever you need to get some insight. Next week, I want to interview some parents. I want to give our families out there the perspective of parents. So if there's a parent out there that has worked through this learning at home thing, and you've worked through some struggles and you've found some successes, would you please email me at schuetzt@smithville.k12.mo.us. You can find that on the website as well. It's my last name, Schuetz, SCHUETZ, at smithville.k12.mo.us. I'd like to get several parents to chat with me about how things are going in their house and any bits and pieces of advice they might offer families that could be struggling. We'll look forward to that. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about seniors. All over the country, there's talk of what are we going to do to honor this year's seniors? They've worked so hard for so many years, and they're certainly due honor at this time. And it's a sad scenario. I just got an email from a parent today, and I won't use his name for fear of embarrassing him, but the parent admitted that his kid maybe wasn't all that concerned about missing this stuff, but this is a milestone in this child's life. And the family would like to celebrate this event, and as the family should in some way, shape, or form. So we're still looking through, ideas. You do know that we have July 18th as Plan B for Silverstein Eye Center, and I'm going to put some notes here from Dr. Platt and see if any of those have changed. Not much at this time. Communication is coming out. Traditional graduation, the 17th or the 18th, I'm sorry, of July is still on the table. A possible in-person on our campus should restrictions be lifted. Students want to be on the football field or in the pack if possible. Students were even willing to be 6 feet apart and do these ceremonies in waves of 75 or however many can be in place while live streaming. So there is a virtual option that is being looked at as well. There's one plan for prom. Prom cannot happen on the 17th. At the high school, students do want a backup plan. There's some talk about fireworks scheduled on the 17th. There's talk about a senior parade. A lot of talk about a senior parade, organizing that in a fashion that we can celebrate. Yard signs with the seniors' names on them being posted and be collected, and something that you can keep. So it looks to me from reading those notes, and those are fresh to me, they're brand new to me. Dr. Platt just had a meeting with students today at 2 o'clock. And trust me, she's working very, very hard with students, not just the staff and administration, but with the seniors on how they would like to do this, but still not violate any of the orders in place. So still lots on the table. Thanks to them for their efforts. It's a lot of work because there are so many unknowns still. There's so much we just don't know yet. I do get the feeling that with the governor's announcement yesterday, and some lifting of restrictions, and I expect that Clay County will have some information for us soon. We'll begin to cross some things off the list in terms of what we can't do, which will leave some on the list of what we can do. So working on it, lots of dedication put towards making something special for those, not just the seniors, but their families too. Summer school, the governor published some guidance this week suggesting summer school in July is a possibility. Looks like there's some restrictions still with that. We're sorting through that information, and again, we expect some more information from Clay County coming soon. We'll sort through what those restrictions mean, but definitely still hopeful and some kind of face-to-face summer school sometime this summer. Want to remind you that Chicken Patty Day still happens on Wednesdays. Remember, this is the popular program during the school year. Chicken Patty Day was a lot of people's favorite lunch, and so that still happens on Wednesdays. If you want to sign up for Chicken Patty Day, you can go to the district website. If you do not sign up and come through line and you want a chicken patty, probably not going to get one. So please sign up for one first, and then come get your chicken patty. And while you get chicken patty, you might consider bringing a food item to drop off at Horizon. We are delivering many boxes to families every week, and we are taking donations from families to contribute to those food boxes. We're kind of taking over the local food pantry effort in that way, and gladly so. We're glad to do it. So if you want to donate food as you come through the line to pick up food, you're sure welcome to do that. Teacher of the Year announcements. Every year we celebrate a Teacher of the Year candidate and a Support Staff of the Year candidate, the winner for the district, if you will. This is always a fun process because we have so many talented teachers and support staff members in this district. Well, due to our constraints in making announcements, what we're going to do for the Teacher of the Year this year is we are going to announce this Teacher of the Year on Facebook Live. Let me find the date here. Thursday, April 30th at 11:45. So if you can get on our Facebook Live, on our Facebook page, April 30th at 11:45, we'll have a live announcement at that Teacher of the Year at their actual home. So that'll be something a little different, which will make it exciting. And we look forward to that and hope that you can join us. It's about all I have for you today. Lots of good things going on. I know the day stretching on and being isolated gets more and more challenging. You know, one of the things I thought of is to be around so few people, and then if we open things back up and boom, now you're around a lot of people, that'd be quite a shock to the system. So I do welcome, though, the days that we can start to kind of ease back into at least some semblance of what normal life used to be like. So I appreciate you, all that you do, parents, all the support you provide our teachers. Again, I get daily emails of thanks, and right back at you. Thanks for all that you do for your kids at your home and in supporting our schools. This is a good day. It's a really good day, and it's a great day to be a warrior. Thank you.